Alright guys, so I'm just over here in the Tryhackme lab, and what I'm on is this Metasploit introduction, and this is a pretty good course to get familiar with the Metasploit framework. More or less, it's going in and setting up this Metasploit exploit with the Eternalblue application. So what you want to do is you get just box startup, and then you start up this Windows system. It's a Windows 7 system. And then once you start that system up, you want to go ahead and connect to your attack box. And then after you connect to your attack box, you're going to want to go ahead and run the Metasploit framework. And then once you've ran your Metasploit framework, you're going to want to run this command to get into the Eternalblue exploit. And that Eternalblue exploit is pretty comprehensive as far as what it can do to a Windows 7 system. So you'll go ahead and run the use exploit command, and then that will get you into that particular exploit. And if you wanted information on this exploit, you'll type info, and then basically it will give you the information as far as this exploit and some of the values that you can populate into that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and set up your R host, which is going to be that Windows system. So I'm going to go set R host, and then I'm going to set that to the Windows 7 system, which is this one here. And then you can get your parameters that are set up in that by typing set. So once you've got that set, you can go ahead and type run or exploit, and then that's going to run that exploit on that box. So one of the things, the side quest that I had mentioned here as far as this Windows system is concerned, basically I wanted to figure out how we could get into that box through this exploit. And as you can see, this is set up and it's a terminal server, so you can RDP to this particular machine. I'll just show you as an example here. So if we put that in, that'll bring up the prompt to log into this Windows 7 system. And if you type question mark over here, this is going to give you some options on this exploit, one of them being a hash dump. The hash dump is going to show you the guest admin, the accounts that are on that Windows system. You could possibly take this here and convert this over and use hashcat possibly to get the password cracked out of this with either CrackStation or base64 decoder and hashcat. Not exactly sure how to go about doing that right now. So the other method that I had used to infiltrate John's account, as you can see, we type in John password. We don't know his password, and we don't know essentially how to get into that account. So what I did is I used this exploit, and one of the exploits in here that you'll see, or one of the commands that you can run, is quite a few. I mean, this is a pretty comprehensive exploit, so it's taken full control of this system essentially, this Windows 7 system. And it's pretty amazing what it can do through this exploit. And it's only Windows 7. And I know there's not a lot of Windows 7 systems out there, but there still are some in the wild. And this exploit could be utilized out in the wild on a Windows 7. So basically what we want to do to get into this system is we can type shell, and that's going to drop us right into that Windows. It's not going to show us, but this is Windows 7 is what we're in on that system, and we're in the shell now. So we can type net user, and that's going to show the account that we're currently using, which is an internal account. And this account actually has proper credentials essentially to overwrite or take over any account. So what we want to do is we want to get into John's account by simply typing net user John and then whatever password we want to set. So I'll just say password. So now that we've set John's password, we can go ahead and enter that over here in this to exploit that account. And these systems are pretty decent over here on the Tryhackme side. As you can see, we're only operating on pretty minimal. I mean, we've got cat CPU info. We've got one processor out here on these VMs. And as far as memory, we're basically operating about 3 or 4 gigs on these virtual machines. So it takes a little while to get around here in these environments. But essentially, as you could see, we've infiltrated this Windows 7 system, and it wasn't part of this particular task, but it was just something that I wanted to do on the side out of curiosity. So once we're in there, we can see that we are logged in as John, and John does have administrator rights. So essentially, you could do basically whatever you want on this. So John has his administrator rights, and you can go in here, and then if you wanted to, you could possibly look up other exploits to run through here as well. Not that you would necessarily need to, but you could go in and you could run other exploits in the meta framework. So if you type exit, that should take me out one back to the meta framework. So essentially, this was just something that I had done on the side that I thought was interesting, and to keep on learning new stuff with Tryhackme. It's pretty amazing what you can do within one particular skill. You can go in and do multiple other things as well. It's really kind of an open-ended book. You could run a nmap against that host as well to see what type of exploits you can maybe get in through an nmap. So you could just take that IP address and then plug it into nmap. Yeah, it's going to show you obviously which ports are open on that Windows 7 system. But we went in through the SMB exploit is what we utilized with the meta framework that we use today in the Eternalblue exploit. And that's went in and ran these what looks to be buffer overflows. But it says all that in the information if you type info as far as what this exploit does. So it is a buffer overflow. So anyways, hope that you found that interesting and that there's some new stuff to learn out there, and keep on plugging away. Thank you.